Hello and good evening. Before we begin, I would like to give a huge shout out to my active patron members: Elliot, Jade Lunaire, Spam Chip 144, Juniper Turn, Cloaked Pelt 29, Aelin, Aaron Thash, Kumi, KitKat 0406, Gwendolyn Adams Bone, Azura Akamora, Canuck, Emma, Knock on Wood, Nobody at All, Agatha, Ragecat 888, Amy Wires, The Octohat, Evelyn Puppy, D-Zip, Rosebud, Nunberg, Fish Salad, Antari Akiyama, Sarha Smith, William Hale, Valkyr Tuno, Rylanor, the fan of a truly iconic Foxo, Galahad, Salgor Agaris, Marissa Crescidisame, Benifer the Potato, Genetic Zero, ZT Mackin, Songbird, Kyra, Void Dweller, T35, Morning Owlet, Elster's Shiny Things, Tarsis, Jessica, Amy Olgers, Tiny Portal, Chloe, Beer the Space Witch, Ellipses, CM Fireflies, Some Guy, Ghost 48, Joanna, Indigo, Aelin, Kai, Danny Babani, TGA, Breedable Vaporeon, Eden, Mick Shepherd, Captain Aardvark 986, Lily Adams, Hazel, Archibald, Blue Goo, Alice, Colic 92, Prophecy Fulfilled, DFA Plays, Robot Waifu, and Blood Moth. Thank you. Thank you so very much for all of your support. It truly means the universe to me. If you too wish to become an active patron, please visit the link in the description down below to visit my Patreon. Now with that out of the way, hello, good evening. It's very good to see you again. Hi. Hi, hello. Hi, Ty Marshall. Hello, Emma. It's very good to see you again. Hello, Fizz. Hi. It's very good to see you. Very quickly, just yanking my phone so that I can stream the stream while streaming my stream. And I have a call. 1 second, please. Hi there. So sorry about that. I was targeted as, I was targeted by a scam just now. I don't usually get scam calls on my phone, so this is so strange. Thankfully it was automated. I was basically just able to hang it up. But even if it wasn't like a scam or something, it was basically something to support the police officers of Missouri. I don't support the police under any circumstance. It just is how I operate. Hello. Miguno OS? Ah, Time Marshal, I'm doing the very best I can. Just didn't expect to, deal with whatever that was. How strange. Well, hopefully they won't call back. Now let's see here. Rip. And then I'll hit play on that. Oh, most excellent. And now I hit that. And then I go over here. Do let me know if you can see it, and do let me know if you can hear it. It doesn't look like you can see it. Let's see. There's my mistake. Display capture hasn't been turned on. There we go. Hey, Nathan. Sadly, I have a cold, says Time Marshal. I'm so terribly sorry. Colds are the worst. Right. So just to recap, we are both level 25. And yet the climb has hardly begun. Oof. Strong attack. I am predicting that in at least 2 levels, Cloud will be able to consistently one-tap them. Oh, you started replaying Pokemon X and Y recently, OS? Oh, I see. Actually, what would you prefer, Miguno OS or just OS? Also, another thing that I've been up to as of, like, our last couple of weeks is I've been desperately trying to learn C++. Going to try to learn how to code with it and to code games with it. Slowly getting back into my game dev space. This isn't to say that I'm giving up on ASMR work. It's just a declaration as to where some of my hobbies are turning. Just Miguno or Mig? Oh, I see. Also, may I get your pronouns? Emma says, sorry, I had to answer door just after stream started. Completely understandable. It is still so very, very good to see you. She, them? Understood. Thank you so very much. Honest to goodness, I don't know what sort of game I want to make. All I know is I want to have the tools at my disposal to do so. And I shall figure out the most meaningful project for me in the meantime. Which means I will definitely be continuing on writing my own scripts, voice acting, etc. Recently, I got a Google Chromebook, I think it's called. Not sure exactly what can run on it safely, but I could definitely try to use it to do my voice acting in the booth with an actual, like, laptop in there instead of, you know, relying on my phone to read the scripts. Well, I guess I have like a couple of laptops at my disposal now. Come to think of it, why didn't I run a laptop in there? the last couple of times. Is it because I was worried about this space? Dunno. Migano says, my Eevee accepting its fate of becoming a Sylveon after realizing that a trans girl caught it. Ave Maria. Welcome, Sims. It is so very good to see you here. Fizz also says, heck yeah, script writing. Indeed, indeed. I love script writing. I really do. It's been hard writing new scripts recently. Mostly just writer's block, which is terrifying if you write for a living. Because if you got writer's block, but you rely on your next meal with your writing, you rely on your writing for your next meal, and you've got writer's block, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Also, a thing that occurs to me is just the, All Might meme. I am here now. Sam says, I just got my new VR headset. It's very fun and terrifying at the same time. Woo! Yeah, I've tried VR like a couple times when I was in Missouri. Unfortunately, the headset that I inherited, broke. Which means I'm back to not doing that. Fizz says, I'm pumping out scripts in OCR so I don't crash all at once. Huh. If you've created a character, what's their name? How did you come to create them? Do you wish all the best for your OCs, or do you want to torture them? When I write my characters, sometimes I do it with some sort of question in my mind, or half a dozen questions as I'm writing the script out, because you've got like a couple characters to think about and work through, and then you have to decide if, oh, should outsiders come and interfere with the story instead of just the main cast, or gosh, it's just so much. And there have been like a good couple of scripts where I just went, gosh, can I just Lemony Snicket this? Can we create a series of unfortunate events? And in a lot of ways, Yandere General is precisely that. It is basically a dark fantasy version of... a dark fantasy romance version of a series of unfortunate events. At least that's the feeling that I get from the series. Because as the very first video begins, your character is like the quintessential RPG hero. The quintessential RPG heroine. And she is meeting to do battle on, the battlefield. To defend a small town. Naturally, you would kind of root for her. But then, of course, it is not that kind of story. Just look away, look away. There's nothing but horror and inconvenience on the way. I remember when, like, the miniseries was being released on Netflix. Me and my blood siblings actually watched it together as it was slowly being released. I think we only ever got to episode 4. Episode 4 or 5, I can't remember which. And then, well, lots of things happened. Not all of which I can remember at this point. It's a bit hazy. The last 6 years have gone by in a relative blur. I can remember some highlights, but there's a lot that's actually kind of a mystery to me. Indeed. Indeed. It's a very fun watch. Oh yeah, I'm not going to spoil it either. Mainly because I've forgotten a great deal of it. I just know the synopsis for it. I just know the general background, the beginning to the plot. The beginning being, you have 3 orphan kids and their parents have just died. And you would hope that they go to a nice place and that they have relatively comfortable lives after such a traumatic, you know, event in their lives, but, again, it is not that kind of story. It is what it says on the tin. It is a series of unfortunate events. Nathan says, Maimaisi are kind of like small fish in a big pond. The worlds in scope are massive and filled with world-building detail that slowly drip-fed to the reader over my stories. Yeah, what I really like is rich world-building, where as your characters step foot out of the carriage, you get the immediate, like, sense of, like, how the world feels around them. Thank you so very much for the $50, Sams. I really appreciate it. Also, ASMR video idea, read the entire B-movie script. Really? Really? The entire B-movie script as an idea. Do you know how long that would take me? Not to mention the copyrights. Ugh. Then I would think that my performance would be kind of a downgrade. I've never watched the B-movie. I've never watched it. I've seen the memes. I have been spoiled on parts of it. It seems so strange to me. Nathan says, "Be sugar. Chicken nugget." You like jazz? Why, yes, I like jazz. I really like jazz. Jazz is fun. Fizz says, "You're so fun." Well, I just do the best I can. Hello, Winter. The council has arrived. The council has spoken. Miss. Nice dodge, Cloud. Sam says, I'm slowly realizing I need a profile picture. Well, I look forward to the day that you get one. I do enjoy your company. It is so very, very good. Sometimes I get really lonely. And I hate it when I get lonely. So yeah, we've definitely gotten to the level where Cloud can one-tap machines, but it's not consistent. How have I been? Oh, I've had some ups, I've had some downs, even over the course of the past 2 days. I'm pretty sure that that's relatively consistent experience with everyone else. Fizz says, did y'all drink water today? Well, I've drunk some water. How about you? Have you been drinking water? Have you been staying hydrated? I do hope you have been. Nathan says, yeah. Yes. Esh. Esh. Emma says, B-movie, but legally distinct and with hive mind B-ladies. So you sort of already did? I suppose. Technically, I did. Technically. Emma says, though that was mostly wasps. Yes, because despite the fact that I'm terrified of them, or because I'm terrified of them, they're incredibly seductive. If I had the chance to do it over again, I would. I enjoy writing about yandere wasps. The only thing is I don't think I could ever, like, continue it off of what I've already done. Like, I could probably go back to the world, but it wouldn't be the same listener. It would have to be a different listener with different interactions with a similar hive or the same hive at a different point in history. Fizz says, you get a sticker and you get a sticker. Winter says, currently looking at 50-50 chance of having to appear on a friend's stream later. Oh, I see. Everybody gets a sticker! Yay! Stickers are amazing. I've gotten a couple of stickers over the years. Believe it or not, I actually had a sticker at some point that featured a succubus on it. But unfortunately, I was not able to apply it to the surface that I wanted to. I wanted to put it on my computer case. And then the move happened and I forgot about it and it ruined the sticker. Fizz says we need a rapid sticker deployment system ASAP. We need universal basic income. I can imagine universal basic income. I could almost taste it. Can't you taste it? Can't you taste it? Gosh, that'd be great. Emma says, new sticker deployment stat. And in my day-to-day life, I'm doing tiny, quiet acts of resistance. Not spending as much, eating as much as I can at home, and cooking, and, you know, just trying to get by with whatever I can, you know, snag. Whatever Akira can snag. Fizz says, like, bam! Sticker appears. Sam says, do you have any pets? No, I don't have pets. Like, I don't have, a dog or a cat or a snake or anything in my apartment. There's actually, like, a $50, pet lease tax. So, to avoid running that up, we have never gotten pets. That, and I just don't believe that I would be, like, an effective owner of such a pet. I mean, I fantasize sometimes. I sometimes really, really want a companion animal. Like a dog. I really like dogs, you see. But I also know that I probably wouldn't be able to take really good care of it. Emma says, of course Mistress Foxo has pets. She got us. Oh. You're so, so very cute. Emma says, I am pets. And you take pets incredibly well. Pet, 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 pet. Fizz says, jokes on water. Oh, poor Fizz. Did I say something to strike a nerve? I want to write a character that is, like, incredibly, for lack of a better word, just incredibly, like, smug. I want to write a villain that is just so incredibly smug. And gets under the listener's skin and gets her hot under the collar and stuff. And she fluffy knows it. Emma says, wonder why my message is not going through again. Fizz says, yes. Emma says, oh, there they go. Fizz says, that'd be great. Yeah, sometimes YouTube will be a butt and not allow messages to go through. And it's not that I'm ignoring people whenever I don't see a message, it's just... It's just sometimes I don't see messages. Interesting. Sometimes the beam shot will just cause the time wait to extend a little bit. Sam says, I have 2 cats. There's Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Invincible, Rex for short. He's a Maine Coon and Ragdoll crossbreed. And little Levi. He's an idiot. Aww. Believe it or not, when I was still living in Cali, I mean, I've already mentioned it at least once, but I lived in a house with 14 cats. So 5 members of the household plus 14 cats of different breeds. Oh, the shedding hair. Oof. But one of them was a Maine Coon, and he was great. I think his name was Anthracite. He could be adorable, but also really aggressive. And unfortunately, the poor beans, because of the environment, they've been dealing with like a lot of issues. A lot of health issues. It's definitely one thing that I brought up when I was still living there was generally just the fact that we couldn't care for them all. Not effectively, we couldn't. Emma says, "It's okay. I know you weren't seeing him yet. Wasn't showing up on the side thingy in the vid." Yeah, and sometimes YouTube will just be a butt and not show chat. It will not show comments for some reason, and it is annoying. It is incredibly annoying to me. Because I like seeing your comments. I like seeing chat. I like hearing what you have to say. Sam says Rex is both the laziest cat and the most dangerous cat I know. He's killed a lot of animals, snakes, rats, other cats that were very not nice. He even scares off big dogs easily. Wow. So dangerous kitty. Dangerous kitty. Tasty. Caffeinated beverage. Also, Hannah says, I don't know what I've come to say 90% of the time, it just comes out. It just kind of comes out. Also, I don't believe I've seen you here before, Hannah. May I get your pronouns and your how you would prefer me to call you? Sam says, that's because he's a huge... Yeah, Maine Coons are really, really big cats. Really big cats. Fizz says crunchy water is a caffeinated beverage. A caffeinated beverage of indeterminate branding. They shall have to purchase a sponsorship deal, and even so, I might not take it. Just because I might be desperate for cash doesn't mean I will forsake my morals and take a brand deal. Especially if I don't agree with the company. And especially in the current political climate, there's very few companies that I will be comfortable associating with. Fizz says, ah yes, mystery bubbly liquid, my fave. Ooh, sparklies! I guess that's more one of the bigger applications to learning C++. Could definitely get hired with some decent programming knowledge. Could also build my own programs with that. And what would be better than to, like, constantly protest capitalism? Well, how about I then just make a bunch of really, really fun games that I offer for free? Could fight back against, capitalism simply by making sure that everything that I make is free to play. Because one of the games that I really want to make is, like, not quite a Final Fantasy-esque RPG, but definitely a turn-based RPG of some kind. I want to make sure that the game loop is fun, and I'm probably gonna be spending, like, a lot of time in the background just making stuff. Or, putting together a team to help me make that stuff. Also, if any, like, artists or erstwhile programmers are listening in on this stream as well, I would definitely not be opposed to working alongside you. I'm pretty darn sure that anyone poking their head into chat would know a lot more about how to make this stuff than I do. I've got a very vague roadmap. A very vague one. If I can get it focused and narrowed down, I'm pretty sure that we can get some good stuff done. Hannah says, honestly, my destroy capitalism trademark plan is to win the lottery, set myself up to not worry about living expenses and take care of enrichment, and then just throw the rest around at MA friends. Redistribute the wealth my own darn self. You see, that would work if by winning the lottery you also manage to accumulate wealth from the wealthy 1%. If you can't touch their wealth, then there's still capitalism and there's still going to be a bunch of hardship even after you'd redistribute that cash. No denying that it is, like, a good deed. It is an incredibly good deed. Personally, I think I would just use it and potentially run for office. And if I couldn't get, like, elected, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that thought. One of the mechanisms I see as bringing about effective change is either getting people I know in office who could then make effective change, or getting myself in office and then affecting the change myself. But I also know that it's incredibly unlikely for someone like me to run and be successful. Fizz says, Cutiefox for president. What? Swim says, idea. Befriend Poseidon and make North America Hydro City in real life. Well, there's no evidence to suggest that Poseidon exists. So, I can't rely on that. I can't rely on magical stuff. We can't pray away our problems. We're going to have to fix them ourselves. Sucks, but them's the breaks. Hannah says, I don't know. I'm so jaded with the system at this point that I have zero faith in the government being able to do anything, even if the right people get in office all at once, somehow off of a miracle. You see, I'm just fed up with Republicans and establishment Democrats as well. Because I have this picture in my head that the establishment Democrats are as much in the pocket of wealthy billionaires as are the Republicans, and thus they don't have the necessary incentive to affect change. It's why Chuck Schumer can get away with being such a coward. He was essentially made into the fall guy. And it's because of him, and it's because of other establishment Dems that we now have more expensive healthcare, because they wouldn't stand hardline on this issue. Because they directly benefit from shit getting more expensive. They're the feel-good party. That's what the Democratic Party in Congress and in the Senate are at this point. They are the feel-goods. They are the people that you vote for to feel good about yourself without affecting necessary change. And it definitely puts so much into question onto how effective your vote really is. Because if your vote only puts these people into office, and then they go about not affecting the change that you wanted, not the change that you voted for, then what's the point? Garbage in, garbage out. And it says it's blatantly obvious, especially after the past year of government activity. Yeah. And it's not even that I hate them. I dislike them. I don't hate them. I'm incredibly jaded and beyond desperate for change. What I mean by that is, I've just been having this big feeling on the wind that there is going to be some form of revolution happening. I would hope that it would be nonviolent, but I doubt it, because I have watched a lot of nonviolent protests happen. I have watched them slowly fizzle out in a lot of cases. I don't advocate for violence, I advocate for self-defense. Emma says, I still remember Jeffries being like, oh no guys, it's fine, I'm only taking money from the good billionaires. Then like a month later we find out he's getting paid by Musk. Yeah. Swim says, even when people I'd maybe at least not hate get into any position of power, they either don't do anything or are actually just evil anyways. It fucking sucks. Yeah. And there's an advertisement that is covering chat. Damn you. Capitalism. Sam says, here's an idea. Let's make Australia rule the world. They've got their own problems too. Every system made by humans has their problems. We just know that there are so many ways that we can make the current system. I was about to say make the current system better, but then I thought, well no. Because the current system as it is an engine that is designed to crush us. Nah, we need to break it. We need to break it. Break the human crushing engine. Aaron Dash says, something two-party system being amplified by no institutional incentives to keep money out of politics. Hannah says, good billionaires is such an oxymoron. Like, come on. Yes, billionaires are capitalism manifest. They are what happens when capitalism, when the love of money takes precedent over anything else. Including morality, the saving of lives. Making sure that you get yours over someone else. Nah, I can't subscribe to that sort of belief system. Just down with billionaires. I go back. I look at some conflicts in history, and when I say conflicts, I mean real conflicts, like the Revolutionary War and... Yeah, a lot of the time, drastic change happens at the barrel of a gun. That is just what I have noticed a correlation with. I could be wrong on it being a universal one. Then again, I am not a political science major. Doubtless there's so much shit in this stream alone that I've gotten completely wrong. So yeah, don't take me, a virtual fox on the internet, as the end-all be-all of everything. Emma says the problem with non-violent protests / strikes, even general strikes, is that they need to last a while to make a difference. That's why we've all been kept on poverty wages. Yeah, it's to make strikes like that untenable. Anna says, hard truth is the current system needs to fully crumble and collapse before any meaningful change can come around and stay around. Emma says, redacted on the other hand doesn't need to last a long time. It's not a long-term process so much as a one-time transaction, so to speak. Anna says, or at the very least, they should buy me a darn burger. Emma says, something Mario's brother. Oh, Ouija! I like Ouija. Ouija's got a nice green cap. I suppose, end-all be-all, self-defense. How to defend oneself against a system that seeks to destroy you. And it is a system that seeks to destroy you. Hannah says self-defense, even though I shouldn't have to defend myself, and why I've been trying to live by the looks scary enough that they don't want to mess with you approach to self-defense. Yeah, this shit isn't fair. It isn't fair at all. We shouldn't have to defend ourselves against our own government. Hey! We're level 26. It's like we're put into this impossible position of being in between a rock and a hard place. We are expected to play nice, to be non-violent, and then the government can just visit that violence on us at any time with no repercussions. The ICE agent that killed Renee Nicole Good, where is he? Where is he? And it isn't just Renee Nicole Good that they've murdered, openly. in cold blood. There are others whose name escapes me currently, because my brain is horrible with names. Nathan says, by the way, just finished Pixel Remaster of Final Fantasy I. Congratulations! Hannah says, so when does Cloud get our egg cracked in this game? I don't remember. I've not played through the entirety of this game. Fizz says, I'm still here. Script is occupying my mind and hands right now. It's all good. Hannah says, I haven't either, lol. I just know one of these games Cloud gets force-fed and it definitely does things to her going off the original Japanese dialogue. Sam says, I watched that video of Renee multiple times and it still pisses me off beyond belief. I've legitimately just watched Ice Agents carry off giraffes. People in giraffe costumes, I should clarify, whose only crime was to sing at them. Thank you so very much for the $2, Nix. I really, really appreciate it. It's my firm belief that murderers should not get off scot-free. There are consequences to your actions. I think that's what I advocate for most, is there are consequences. And they will happen. What sort of consequences do you want to end up living with? Do you want to live in a world where the consequences that you encounter are benevolent? Or do you want karma to serve you a double-barreled knuckle sandwich? Hannah says, I unwittingly got shown one of the least gory angles of that incident and it fucked me up for days. I watched the body cam footage, well, the phone cam footage of the officer that did it. The scumbag that did it. I heard the words that left his mouth. And what I could only feel in that moment, because I wasn't thinking. There were no coherent thoughts in my head after witnessing that. All I could end up feeling was shock, dismay, disgust, and a blinding rage. It's a blinding rage that has filled me. For a long time. But it only reached like a flashpoint right then and there. It really shouldn't have taken that much time for that flashpoint to happen. I should have been a lot angrier a lot sooner. Fizz says, time for a spicy bean water break. Hannah says, so PSA, don't go seeking out videos of stuff like that. You don't need to see that kind of proof yourself unless you can handle it and have the support system to cope with seeing that stuff. Thank you for the hugs, Emma. Fizz says, karma always gets you. Not always, because I can think of like a good couple of people who got away with it. Swim says, I feel lucky to have not seen that video. Yes, don't. Don't go looking. Please don't. Not unless you want it to haunt you for the rest of your life. Hannah says, also, it's not like I've never seen death before. Been present or one of the first to the scene for late writing buddies of mine. It takes a lot out of a person to process what you saw. Hey, Eve. Oh, I feel sick to my stomach. Oof. I don't think any of us are okay right now. Mostly just because I've been talking about politics and... Hannah says, yeah, if you aren't required to see footage like that, don't go searching. Sam says, I guess I'm kind of glad I live here in Australia, but it's still horrible. The Bondi Beach shooting made me cry, and I prayed for the lives that were lost. And one of the things that the United States government, as far as I'm aware, could, again, be very wrong about it, was just... they made a big mention of that shooting because it was notable to them instead of the thousands that happen here on so regular a basis that schools have training for such a thing. Hey Florence, welcome. Hi Cutiefox, I love your audios. Please make more Yandere contents. I plan to. Thank you so very much. Hannah says, me? Be okay? No, sorry, that's not on the schedule for today, lol. Yeah. Florence says, what do you think about Trump? Ahaha. I think he's a traitorous pedophile who needs to be locked up. If not, face the guillotine. Eve says, we'll probably just take our leave. See y'all. Be seeing you, Eve. Do stay safe. Do you ever just feel like you're going a little bit nuts? Do you feel like you're going crazy because you feel like you are constantly being pushed against a psychological wall and told not to react? I kind of feel like that. Emma says, sorry, heavy topics, I know. Yeah, very heavy. Winter says, fun fact, the person at the Ford plant who called Trump a pedo when he was there will retain their job and most likely receive back pay thanks to unions. Yes, unions. I like unions. Make unions. Unionize even when big corporations tell you not to, because unions are the compromise. It is because of unions that we have civil discussions when it comes to, you know, negotiations instead of pickaxes ending up through windshields. Florence says, do you know Fangar? If yes, when is she coming back? Are you talking about, do I know Fangar personally? No, I do not know Fangar personally. Would love to meet Fangar, as I think that they are incredible at what they do. And extreme vocal envy on my part, yes. I have absolutely no idea when or if she's coming back to the channel. It could just very well be that she won't come back. And if she doesn't come back, then that's okay. Sometimes creators just have to go. Emma says, unionize everything. Yep. And Darsh says, I feel that exhaustion, girl. Actually was a poli-sci major for a solid 2 semesters until the emotional exhaustion of that, plus just existing, meant something had to give. Hannah says, anyways, in lighter news, I might have figured out a way to work through dysphoria and teach myself to draw and potentially pursue the pipe dream of learning to tattoo. Congratulations! Emma says, in fact, democratize the workplace. Welcome, Kendrick. Hi. It's good to see you again. Thank you so very much for the $50, Sims. I really, truly appreciate it. Please make sure you stay financially stable, too. I am a virtual foxo on the internet. I really, really appreciate it. It does help. It does help a lot. I shall be taking my leave now. I have to go to work and deal with my dumb coworkers. Well, stay safe out there, and thank you so much again. Boop. Black Wolf says, hi Yuri, just came by to say hi. I have work tomorrow, so I won't be staying. Stay safe. Sam says, stay safe everyone, much love. Hannah says, thanks Emma. It's been something that I've been dealing with, alongside the resulting onslaught of you suck at art anytime I tried to get into it because hands don't work like normal for people. I need to get back into art. Into drawing. It's like my brain wants to pull in several different directions at once. I feel tired. Tired and honestly kind of queasy. Fizz says you can't let haters get you down. Emma says, aw, people can be jerks. Sorry. I'm sorry too. Sim says, I kinda wanna try eyeshadow or eyeliner or something, but it's scary to try and learn makeup. It's scary learning to try anything. I'm kind of scared of trying C++, even though I really just want to figure out how it all works, so I can get good at programming. You're gonna try to get good? Never give up. Never surrender. Fizz says, I doodle all the time. The doodles I'd undo. Emma says, I know I keep flashing back to art college when I try drawing, remembering that one animation teacher I had who said I wasn't cut out for art. She was an accountant at Disney. An accountant told you that? I don't trust an accountant to tell me who's good at art. Fizz says, you gotta take that leap of faith, babe. Winner says, what? 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 Are you mad? Emma says, yeah, I went to AIP back before it came out the whole school was a scam. She was the only teacher on staff for animation, and she got the job because she used to work for Disney as an accountant. Fizz says, like I do every time I post a script, lol. Winter says, not me studying to be an accountant. Nothing wrong with being an accountant in my eyes, just... if you specialize in accounting, don't be an art teacher. Hannah says, yeah, I've been designing my personal tattoo sleeves the past almost 2 weeks. Right arm is gonna be a dark, demonic themed sleeve with a Lilith portrait. The left is gonna be a rose vine sleeve. Very nice. Emma says, okay, maybe not, but my dad is. Honestly, Emma, I really wish that we had swapped teachers, because I think that you really would have loved my animation teacher. I don't know if he still works there. I hope he does. He was phenomenal in teaching us the basics of modeling and animation. Was always encouraging. One of my favorite human beings. Hannah says, I know rose tattoos are basic, but the roses and vine sleeve is really important to me. Swim says, I liked art as a little kid, but I have dysgraphia, which makes it painful to hold anything pencil-like for a long time, so I use a mouse to draw instead. Take that, Miss Broiga from 2nd grade art class. Hey, Barret's level 26. We're level 26. Swim says, telling me I should just try sports. Hannah says, oh, and one of my hands is getting a tattoo of a fanged lip bite in a spot where putting my hand over my mouth has them over where my normal lips would be. Because I thought it would be gender. It is gender. Fizz says, teachers can be so cruel. Yes, I've been really, really lucky in which most of the teachers that I've run across have been really kind to me. Even after I came out as trans. I remember when I first talked with my animation teacher about it, because I came out in the middle of that class, exchange. So I was like, yeah, this is the thing. This is the big thing. And I remember being so fucking scared. Just being out in that class. There's a Trumper in that class, too. Not many were vocal about their politics except for him, which, I mean, he wore the Trump hat. It was fucking obvious. And considering the environment of that class, I was like, why the fuck are you here? Winter says, OpenAI is 100% gonna collapse in on itself soonish, cause they... No, come back! Cause they lost like 12 billion in the last quarter and are approaching $1 trillion in future debt obligations. Ha ha! I will take Schadenfreude with that one. Swim says... Well, no. Hannah says at Swim, I also have dysgraphia, although more in the neural pathway side of it, meaning I have to consciously focus and think different to actually get my hand to make a third grader handwriting. I don't like writing with my hand. My hands shake constantly. Emma says, oh yeah, most of my teachers have been fine. Honestly, that one teacher was the worst I've had. It's just that there were no other teachers on staff ever who taught that class, and it was required for my major and half the other majors there. That sounds horrible. I'm sorry. Swim says that Hannah, luckily, I've been able to correct my handwriting through a lot of training over the years. Did you have to draw the big figure eights with one hand on the table, too? Oh, golly. Hello, Gandit. Welcome. Have I seen you here before? If I haven't seen you before, please pull up a chair, sit by the fire, get yourself something lovely to drink. We're having a grand old time here. Hannah says, I don't know if y'all want to hear my nightmare teacher story. Please, go on. I would love to hear it. Fizz says, my handwriting is unreadable, but my cursive is beautiful, lol. Emma says, it's okay. It was a while back. At least that school got shut down for fraud. And the student loan company that serviced my loans lost their government contract for fraud also. Swim says, oh god, cursive. Ugh. Hannah says at Swim, I haven't. Never got treatment for it because it was said that it was most commonly a symptom of autism and my family refused to have me diagnosed with it. Jack Frost, welcome back! Hi, it has been some time. It is so very good to see you again. How have you been? I'm doing the best I can. Still dealing with mild queasiness related to an earlier subject that I just touched on. Injustice makes me queasy. Injustice and fascism make my stomach queasy. Jack Frost says life's been a bit crazy, but can't complain. Oh, you got any stories for us? I would love to hear any stories that you have. Hannah says, "'Cause like, when I say nightmare teacher, I mean nightmare. Oof. Bad, huh?" Swim says that Hannah, "A big thing is when you write or draw or whatever, one arm just kinda lays off the table. But keeping one hand steady while you write helps both hemispheres communicate better." Hannah says, like, "I still get nightmares about it sometimes even nowadays. I'm so terribly sorry. If it's a horrible subject, then we don't have to talk about it." Swim says, "It helped in the long run, but it stunk. I'm sorry." Emma says, "Haven't played Injustice myself." Hannah says at Swim, "I usually keep both near the screen because I'm drawing on iPad in Procreate." "Nah, I can talk about it if you really want. But like, it's gonna be a doozy." "Please, go on." "If it is beneficial to you. If it is not beneficial to you, then I would insist not." But I want to stress that this is a safe place for you to communicate your stories. And if I catch anyone judging anyone else for the horrible things that they've been through, well, there's going to be a serious conversation about that. Emma says, "Was trying to distract from real-world injustice by mentioning the video game called Injustice. Sorry. No need to apologize, my dear. Everything is going to be just fine." Fizz says, "I have the urge to draw tiny things." Tiny things. Hannah says, "Okay, so for context, this teacher had a reputation. Like, the head of the English department for the entire district of schools had a dedicated pile just for complaints against her." Ah. 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 Hannah says she also had, in the past, shoved a kid with crutches down the stairs during a fire drill for not going fast enough. Oy vey. So, the real-life Trunchbull? Hannah says, and made a student with a heart condition take the stairs instead of the elevator because they'd show up late due to the elevator being far from the classroom. Jack Frost says, "Oh dear, that sounds very difficult to deal with." Emma says, "Oh damn. So did my animation oh, okay, I'm not aware of my animation teacher pushing anyone down the stairs." Hannah says, "Nah, she made Trunchbull look like Mr. Rogers." Oh gosh! Oh gosh! That's horrible. I'm so sorry. Did she have an equivalent showcase as well? Like that closet with a bunch of nails that was described in the story? Hannah says, "Yeah, so I had her for 7th grade English. And she decided she didn't like me." Hannah says, "And that she was going to make it my problem." Oh yeah. Yep. That sounds like a bad time. On a scale of 1 to Megalovania, I'm guessing it was Sans. That is as much of a bad time as it is. Hannah says, basically it started in the first semester with her, and I had to find out find this out with a hidden spy cam, is throw my assignments in the trash and then at the end of the grading period say I didn't turn in. And if I wanted half credit, I could redo them and turn them in. Holy goodness gracious! Fizz says, damn, who the fuck does that? A monster does. Hannah says, my mom tormented me over this the whole time until she sat and watched me complete an essay from start to finish and walked me to our classroom to turn it in, and she still pulled that. Emma says, was this teacher's name Angela Love by any chance? Golly. Golly goodness. Hannah says she kept doing that in the second semester, but that's when the other side of her torment started, the falsified office referrals and lunch detentions. Some people just have a hankering to torment people. And I don't get it. What is this? What is this? What is this bullying? Why is this? Emma says, casually doxing a teacher, sorry, but she deserves it. Hannah says, Emma, no, her name was not. Fizz says, no kid should ever have a teacher like that. Certainly not. Emma says, okay, a lot of this was sounding uncomfortably familiar. So sorry you had to go through that. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that too. That's absolutely horrible. Hannah says, I'm gonna run down the list of the highlights of the shenanigans. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah. I think that I am far luckier than most with how my teaching situation ended up. All the teachers that I ran across were perfectly lovely people. And I really wish that you'd met them instead of these horrible teachers. Hannah says she sent me to the office for racist joke another student at the back of the class made. I was forced to sit front and center right in front of her desk. Fizz says people who treat kids like that should be locked up. Honestly, yeah. You don't treat kids like that. Hannah says also for having a page on the Webster's definition of genocide on the computer because it was a vocab word for the week. You're looking up the definition of genocide and getting in trouble for it? What? Hannah says, oh, also got sent in because 2 other kids I didn't even know their names for having a dodgeball game with a stress ball they had stolen from my pencil case. Hannah says, yes, I got lunch detention for looking up a vocab word for the week that everyone in the class had. Goodness gracious. Just want to talk to her. Just want to talk to her. Just want to talk to her. Fizz says hugs everyone. Everyone who wants hugs, I offer them to you. Nathan says, I'm sorry, but what grade and subject was this? Hannah says, but here's the final act, and this is the closest I had to any artistic ability, and this incident single-handedly scared me off of any form of drawing, doodling for pleasure. I'm sorry. Hannah says for context, the schools gave out these day planners. It was in the contract you signed when you got them that they were considered your property for the year, and everyone doodle in theirs. Keep note of that as I go on. Also keep in mind this was 7th grade English. Oh, my stomach is twisting. Hannah says, so on like one day of the last school days of the year, I had ADHD brain and forgot my day planner in my assigned desk in her classroom. She nicked it, didn't she? She took it, didn't she? Oh gosh. One of my at-the-time friends, who always was a little snitch but was bigger than most of us so never got stitches, ratted out whose it was to her. Oh no. I'm getting a horrible feeling. Hannah says she sat there for hours highlighting, circling, post-it noting every single little thing, trying to turn each potentially offensive to teacher herself drawings into its own incident. And tried to pass it off as graffiti to boot because it was a school day planner and school property. Nightmare teacher is right. I hate that that happened. And I hate that she did that to you. Graffiti? Really? Hannah says, now I would doodle in this planner every day at lunch and let friends join in on it, and did a lot of comic/cartoon style stuff of various different things. Crude middle schooler stuff. Winner says, I got myself a little present today. Congratulations! Fizz says, I'm sorry you had to deal with such a crazy mean teacher. Anna says, my mom, who was mostly awful to me, got the call about this, and even without hearing from me about it, she was pissed at this woman. When it's so awful, even one of your, bigger bullies at home is siding with you. Winner says, leather-bound set of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Congratulations. This says, sounds amazing, Winner. Hannah says, this was also after a whole report and sit down with me, my mom, teacher, and the head of English for the whole district the week prior, where the guy looked through my work and gave me an A. Oof. Sit down like that. I'm supposing that teacher really wanted payback. Payback against a child? Really? Hannah says, when my mom gets pissed, it's scary, and she will go Mama Bear if she chooses to. And somehow, between Mama Bear mode and her knowing how to out-bureaucrat bureaucrats, I got no punishment. In fact, got the in-school equivalent of a restraining order against her. Hannah says, and I got my pick of 8th grade English teacher after sitting down with them to chat and see who I wanted for the year. Hannah says, but yeah, that entire experience was traumatizing and turned me off of art for a while. Which sucks, because I'm a stupidly creative person. Yeah. You are a really creative person. I'm sorry that you went through that. That was absolutely horrible. Hannah says, but yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. For some reason my brain glitched and was about to read the same comment again. Swim says, horribly random question, but I'm curious, Miss Fox. Have you read a comic called Homestuck? There have been a couple of people to try to get me into Homestuck over the years. It never stuck. Pardon the pun. It just isn't quite for me. Emma says, yeah, I've noticed usually the most awful, pointedly cruel people out there tend to be, like, massively insecure, and they feel entitled to take it out on anyone they perceive as lesser. Airdash says, oh god, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Emma says, not to say that being insecure necessarily makes a person cruel. Fizz says, oh no. The thing about it is I'm actually an incredibly insecure person myself. I admit it. I admit it openly that I am incredibly insecure at times. Does it mean that I will actively tear down people's work? Well, no. The only times I ever really do tear down another person's work is if that work sucks. If its merit is null. J.K. Rowling's work. But beyond that, I don't see the point in tearing down another person's work for my own insecurities. It just is something that I constantly kind of benchmark myself against. It's not an accurate benchmark. I oftentimes see other people's work as being far superior to my own. Take Vanguard's work, for example. I think that there are so many things that Vanguard does better than me. And then there's a singer called Rafscrap, whom I am incredibly jealous of in terms of the voice. Rafscrap's voice is one that I will always be envious of. Emma says, yeah, I'm insecure too, for sure. I just get worried and needy. Everything's gonna be okay, Emma. We've got your back. Winter says, I refuse to tear people down. Anthash, I feel like there. This says, I think your work is great. Thank you so very much. And I think your work is excellent. Winner says, everyone is fighting their own battles, and they don't need me to make it harder on them. Anthar says, did not mean to just send that unfinished. It's quite alright. Swim says, not that just words can fix insecurity. I think you're a swell gal, with a very pretty voice, who is the person that even got me into ASMR at all. Why, thank you so very much. I do my best. I've kind of taken I just do my best as a kind of pseudo catchphrase, because it's true. It will remain true. Doing the best I can. Hannah says, on the bright side though, I got enough detention time and street cred in school from it that half the kids who got detention regularly started sticking up to me against bullies. And that 7th grade year also had one of my top 3 best teachers I ever had, the gorgeous gender wood-chopped lesbian teacher who was the proctor for the extra time standardized tests. Woo! Fizz says, I'm always available for hugs, lol. Hugs are amazing. Hannah says she ended up having an effect on everyone there for those tests that we all let her teach us to knit so we could impress her. Emma says, I think it's the unique combination of insecurity and the dog-eat-dog mentality that's become increasingly prevalent under late-stage capitalism. So once again, capitalism is to blame. Hannah says, wait, core memory unlocked! Oh goodness. What core memory was unlocked? Core memory unlocked. Antash says to swim, I'm gonna second this. I ran across this channel a couple of years ago, and it really helped when I was completely stuck in dysphoria. Also, it's been very inspiring for my own work, to be honest. Well, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate it. Would you all like to hear what my voice used to sound like? 6 years ago now. We're very close to the 6th year anniversary of when the audio was posted to SoundCloud, but it is how my voice actually sounds pre-transition. Just in case you wanted to have a good grasp of what is possible with your own voice. Because I did not originally sound like this once upon a time. Once upon a time, I actually sounded a lot deeper. You gotta force me to sign in. Don't play, don't play. There we go. You won't play automatically until I give you the full context. So, once upon a time, I read, well actually I watched a rendition of 1408. And it got me really, really invested in that story. I really like the idea of an evil hotel room. Like an evil fucking hotel room. So I really liked the story, and it was when I was starting to get a hankering for wanting to share my voice online. So, without mind for copyright, I decided that I was going to do my own narration of 1408, the short story, on SoundCloud. And so it remains here for 6 years now. I've never been able to delete it because I forgot the original password to the account. Well, kind of, yeah. So yes, that is the context for what my voice is saying for this story. And without further ado, this is what I sounded like 6 years ago.
1408. 1. Mike Enslin was still in the revolving door when he saw Olin, the manager of the Hotel Dolphin, sitting in one of the overstuffed lobby chairs. Mike's heart sank. Maybe I should have brought the lawyer along again after all, he thought. Well, too late now. And even if Olin had decided to throw up another roadblock or two between Mike and room 1408, that wasn't all bad. There were compensations. Olin...
Yeah. There it is. There it will be. For probably the next decade or so. So, what do you think? How does my voice stack up? Hannah says, as much as I'll dog on my voice, I was just hearing what I sounded like months before even realizing I was trans and like, definitely is more femme. And it also says, also, that is not the same person. No, there's no way. Believe it or not, Akira said the same thing. At the very end of the story, there's a very distinctive sort of giggle that I have. It's not changed that much since I started my vocal training, and it just sort of sounds like... And it's there. It's definitely at the end of it. And you will definitely notice a lot of similar inflections in the story. It's just that I've affected my voice to a higher register. And I've been affecting my voice to a higher register for years. If you go back simply like 3 years to the beginning of my ASMR career, you'll also notice that my voice is a lot lower. Because my training hadn't been, like, taken off just yet. But yes, it is my voice. That is what I sound like. Well, what I used to sound like. So, here's my voice as I slowly bring it down into a deeper voice, a more relaxed voice. This is without trying to put too much effort into it, and you might recognize it, especially if I, like, start putting on more of a growl to it, making it sound a little bit tougher. Start sounding a lot more like Faramth, huh? Especially when she gets a little bit more gentle. But even then, even here, where I'm more relaxed, it is still a lot higher than it used to be. I can't go as deep as I used to be. And then I'm just going to slowly bring it back up here. Hi. Hello. To slowly bring my voice up and down the, you know, vocal register is kind of a treat. And it's even funnier whenever I hit people with a, would you like a can of Pepsi? And there says, God, every time I hear a before and after on voice training, I want to cry. It's so amazing. Well, thank you so very much. Winter says, oh yeah, just remembered. While I was flying back to the United States, I went into the men's restroom when I was the only one in there. Someone came in and proceeded to leave and double check they had the right restroom. Hannah says, okay, what school of voice training philosophy have you been working with? Fizz says, whoa, that's a difference. That's a huge change. Swim says, yeah, I'm pretty sure you underwent real-life transmogrification. By the way, the change is pretty insane. Jack Frost says, your range is a testament to all your hard work and training. Hannah says, yeah, nah, even with you trying to drop your voice, it's still not close to back then. I just wish I could just do it right immediately, to be honest. Here's the thing. It's only a huge juxtaposition, my old voice, to my current voice, simply between years of training. This is something that is doable. It's doable for everyone who wants to. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And if you want some of my advice, you need to get really, really comfortable with listening to your own voice. See what parts of it don't fit well, and then just affecting it slightly differently. You won't be able to get like really, really high-pitched really, really quickly because you'll hurt yourself. It's a muscle. You need to train it, and you need to take care of it. Hannah says, I'm debating asking Lilith for some help there. Swim says, I've always been able to do a lot of impressions, and I can only bring my voice higher, so I think training might be a snap for me since it's similar to singing how you train. Also, something that definitely affects your voice and your vocal register is just listening to other creators and then constantly listening to your own voice on YouTube and then feeling slightly self-conscious and feeling a desire to improve, and that forces you to get better. It forces you to improve. I weaponized my own self-doubt into getting me to train harder. It's not a healthy way of doing it, but it worked. Hannah says, like, the only reason mine is actually different and vaguely femme-adjacent enough is because I just try to do the voice all the time. Yeah, is there an option that doesn't involve listening to my own voice? Doing that makes me wanna hurl and do things I'd rather not say here. Also, I don't even want to go high-pitched. Yeah, you want to be a little bit more reasonable, right? You want to be, like, relatively here, right? Not high-pitched, but reasonable. Emma says, so what you're saying is we need to all become VTubers. I'm not saying that you all need to become VTubers. I'm just suggesting that listening to your own voice on the regular and then making, you know, improvements slowly, learning how to do that safely, and taking care of your voice, it goes a long way. I definitely recommend trans voice lessons for that. I did that a lot. I went to trans voice lessons a lot to try to figure out means of lifting my larynx. I want to sound like Luna from Helleva's VA. Erica Lindbeck, or Femme V from Cyberpunk. Emma says, I shall now begin my hermit crab girl metamorphosis. Hannah says, like I want a husky butch girl voice. Like something closer to this one. You know, relatively closer to this one. Fez says, I sound like a child on the phone. Imagine being a YouTuber, lol. I mean, speaking now, this isn't even the highest I can go. I can go higher than this, it just ends up being a little bit more painful. Would you like to hear my highest possible voice? Hannah says should specify Lindbeck's lower registers. Not her magic Lu or Asuna voice. Fizz says, don't hurt yourself. Well, it's only if I do it for prolonged, periods of time. Occasionally, rarely, and it's acceptable. Swim says, give me the squeaks, Miss Fox. Jack says, Magilu, dang, I need to play Berseria. Yeah, as a side effect of my vocal training, I can both squeak on command as well as, squeak whenever I yawn. Hannah says, I'll say yes, I am super nerd about which VA does what character's voice. Gotta put Echolalia to good use for once. Precisely. Precisely. Anyways, a higher voice, a higher voice.
Hi there. This is the highest voice that I am capable of doing. Currently, I am Sonoe. I am an angel fox. Hi. Hello.
So what do you think? Hannah says, oh, low-key though. Barking is a decent voice training exercise. Don't ask how I know.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I could get up this high. Are you okay? Hello? Hi. Can you hear me?
That's especially if I just let a lot of the, buzziness out of my voice, and just start speaking more breathy like this. It's the difference between constraining your voice and making it breathy. Oh, excuse me. See, that's one of the involuntary squeaks there. It's very high-pitched. Hannah says, Klutz, I love the super spicy bolt deck, but damn, if I'm not fighting for my life at the end of it. Emma says, oh my gosh, cute. I believe someone has said before that I sound an awful lot like the moon from the Amazing Digital Circus. And I'm just gonna go to YouTube really, really quickly to grab a clip of what I mean. Let's see. I hate it when, I hate it when YouTube glitches out. Where are you? What am I looking for? Please? Right, so this is the voice line that I think of when people say that I sound like the moon. Seriously. Honestly, guys, don't think we sound entirely alike. There are definitely some signifiers that set us apart. Still, it's wild, though, that I could be confused.
They look happy.
No! No, please don't die. Please don't die. Are we back? Are we back? Hello? Okay, the stream's alive. Thank goodness. I panicked there for a second. Hannah says, I'm low-key worried I'm gonna have to do the surgery or vocal cord Botox therapy to actually get my voice in an acceptable to me place. Especially given that I didn't even make it 20 minutes into 2026 without being misgendered in a voice call. Gosh, I hate it whenever that happens. On Discord, I should say. I'm sorry, Hannah. It always sucks. Sometimes I get vocal dysphoria. Like, bad. And yes, it still happens, even with extensive training. Winter says, vocal cord surgeries don't guarantee a femme voice and still require voice training. Yes, I agree with that, yeah. On top of that, you have to relearn how to use your voice. I expect the machines to just make a sound as they're walking forward, like ka-dunk, ka-dunk. And it just always kind of makes me tilt my head whenever I don't hear them making sounds as they're walking forward. Hannah says, wait, actually, I get state insurance finally, and the card is coming at the moment, supposedly, so I might have to look into that procedure and therapy paid for by it. I wish you luck. Fizz says, voice training is hard work, and I have a lot of respect for anyone who does it. Emma says, they should. Hannah says, or maybe a speech pathologist that's willing to do trans voice training. I went to 2 of those in my entire life. 1 experience, and Cloud goes to level 27. So it's just the next battle. Fizz says, unfortunately, nothing in life worth having comes easy. Antash says, I feel that with dysphoria, like, you work so hard for a voice, and you still get hung up on the one little thing you haven't figured out yet. At least, that's my experience for vocal dysphoria. Jack says, yay! Just a few more levels left. Just a few more levels. Oh! Cloud's MP has hit the yellow finally. Fizz says, yeah, I'm currently trying to learn bass guitar, but I'll eventually get better. I'm still trying to learn electric guitar. I need to pick it up again. Need to be playing it with more regularity than I currently am. So many needs. I need to do X, Y, Z. Need to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Sometimes I'll flip back and forth between Z and Z, because I like both. Hannah says, I really want to go back to bass guitar. Taught myself a little bit, but dropped it. I see. Fizz says, when I feel down, I practice. Hannah says, but also one of my partners is an amazing musician and guitarist and singer/songwriter, and my other partner is learning bass guitar right now. Congratulations! So I guess in the Polycule metalcore band, I'll have to get back to my ability to do scream/distortion vocals and do those vocals for it. I should learn how to sing too. Oh, so you're poly too. Very nice. Jack Frost says, 100% there is this one piece I practiced over and over when bad things happened. Let's just say even now, years later, I can play it without the sheet. Fizz says, I'm eventually going to learn the bass riff from The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. I wish you the best of luck with it. You're going to be legendary. That's an upcoming reference. A lot of fiends here, yeah? Hannah says, anyone got any cons they want to go to this year? I've got like one or two, mostly just one. If I had transportation and could afford the pass and lodging. Believe it or not, I'm going to the Renaissance Fair again. It's been a while. Well, I mean, it's been a year. I like that this is a thing that me and Akira do. Swim says, I've never been to a con. I've got some soup here. I'm gonna eat a little bit because tummy. Jack Frost says, "Oh, rad. Are you gonna cosplay?" I don't quite know if that was directed to me, but I guess I'm gonna be cosplaying Jennifer Hawthorne, the Yandere Witch. Aaron Thatch says, "Soup. Yes, soup. Good soup. Soup is good." Hannah says, "I've technically been to 2.5 if you count Evo and ECT from FGC. Swim says, "Half-Life gravity gun. That goes, soup." Good soup. Soup good. Hannah says, "The Evo trip for me was kind of funny, because I didn't want to go to Vegas until I was at least 21, so I could drink and gamble for the full experience, and on that trip, I neither drank nor gambled." Well, congratulations. I've never gambled either, I don't, Mom. Hang on, I tell a lie. If we count online gambling, like with Australians, with Genshin, I've definitely gambled. But I've never gambled for money. Fizzo's gotta be wearing a big mushroom hat that I made last year. Congratulations! Hannah says, "Wait, Fizz, you have a mushroom hat?" Winter says, "Literally every time I visit my partner, I tell myself I'm gonna try edibles, because weed isn't legal where I live, and then I never do." Hannah says, "Yes, congratulations me, I made my wait for going to Vegas entirely pointless, lol." Well. Jack says, "A hat that looks like a mushroom, or is it made of mushrooms?" Well, I wouldn't say it was entirely pointless, was it? I mean, did you have fun there? Hannah says, "I don't think I could live somewhere that weed isn't legal anymore, lol." I think it was legal in Missouri, for medicinal purposes at least. I tried an edible there. I tried edibles there a couple of times, I believe. The feelings that they brought up in me aren't emotions that I was comfortable with. Because when I, was high as fuck, I was inconsolable. I would be bouncing between laughing hysterically and sobbing. Hannah says, "Latter half of growing up for me was in one of the earliest adopters of legalizing weed, and half the people I know there are involved in the cannabis industry somehow." Yeah, edibles are their own beast. Gotta modify it to be waterproof, but it'll be better than ever, lol. Hannah says, "'Cause it all hits at once a while after ingestion." Yeah. Yeah. Emma says, "To be honest, ever since Corpo weed became a thing, all the strains seem to be way more potent, and it can be a bit much." Hannah says, my first THC experience was an edible and I made the mistake of doing it alone with no guide, and I ended up huddled in the corner freaking out that the KGB was coming for me. Emma says, I missed sheep, illegal weed, nice and mellow. Where did it go? Hello, Jonathan. Hello, my heavenly angel. Sorry, I can't stand just saying hi, only 'cause you're just so pretty. Well, thank you so very much, Jonathan. How have you been? I hope your day's been well. Emma says, been a few years now since I last smoked. Yeah. The last time I took like a big hit off a blunt, I decided to push myself way too far for my first like real hit. Gosh, what a night that was. Ah, crazy nights in Missouri. Sometimes I miss them. Hannah says, then I got a dab car indica instead of sativa, and that was a much better setup for me. Hannah says, dunno where it went. My old plug started carrying just dispensary stuff as soon as it became the norm. Hannah says, also, please don't call it corpo weed. I can assure you, even some of the most prominent weed brands are basically like 5 to 7 main dudes who've known each other forever and really, really like weed. Jonathan says, oh, I've been great. Been resting well ever since that unexpected checkup on my phone by my mom. Emma says, just me casually admitting to smoking weed illegally. Well, it's not illegal anymore, is it? Jonathan says, like, seriously, she checked what I was watching at the end of Christmas break. Oh dear. Was it bad? Emma says, come get me, coppers. Okay, fair, sorry. Emma says, sorry, Hannah. Hannah says, I guarantee that those 5 to 7 dudes barely know what a profit margin is. Fizz says, I won't tell, lol. I mean, if the man is going to come after you for what you say here in this chat, then it's already gotten to the point where we are basically in the middle of the revolution. Hannah says, it's not illegal if you say you are/did in a state where it's legal. Fizz says, secret safe with me. Hannah says, just do what those street racing channels do. Say it was recorded in Mexico. Winter says, I had to make a presentation comparing to companies' financial statements. I know too much about what profit margins are. Emma says, yeah, it was legal at the time. Wink. Wink, wink. 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 What happens in the chat stays in the chat. Yes, welcome to Vegas. Winner says it was 20 minutes long and took 6 attempts at recording the presentation. Still got an A on it. Congratulations. Hannah says, all I know about profit margins is that restaurants at best only make like 10% profit. Culinary school turned out to be almost entirely useless. Jonathan says, I'm not kidding. I do apologize, Jonathan. Hannah says, all I got from it was a nicotine addiction and traumatization and being softly run out of an industry I loved because back at the house makes fortune look like preschool insults. Jonathan says she was checking my phone and I was swearing so much. Like, why must you do this, Mom? It's the worst when your watching habits are curated by a parent. Like, I'm an adult, I get to enjoy what I like to enjoy. And I would much rather not be judged for it. Jonathan says, can't I just live as a teen? Like, I get it, internet safety, but come on. I'm aboard. Oh. Huh. Most of the content that I make is usually targeted towards adults. Jonathan says, yes, I know. Messed up. You don't gotta tell me. Says, make sure next time she checks it, got some of the most heinous, horrifying horror shit in every camera roll, and watch history so she ends up so terrified she'll never search your phone again. Pro tip. Jonathan says, sorry about this. Quite alright. Jonathan says, I delete all that stuff without a trace, however, thankfully. Jack Frost says, night people, get a dip. Have a great rest of stream. Stay safe out there. Rest well. Hannah says, seriously, I did that with my mom when I was 13, and she just gave it back to me and said, I'm never doing that again. Jonathan says, thanks, bro. Have a good night. Also, I hope that the game volume isn't too loud or too quiet. Just try to make it so that everything is evenly spaced out. And Barret has almost hit level 27. What time is it running? Excellent. We've still got some time to go. Fizz says it's almost finished. Another script. I can feel it in my soul. You can feel it in your soul, can you? Also, John, if I might ask what your pronouns are, because I don't remember if I already asked that or not. Gonna take a Sip of drink. Fizz says, I can, and you're doing the thing. Hannah says, I can't feel anything in my soul anymore. I've pawned that thing off to so many people who are too busy fighting who actually gets to keep it, Lamau. Jonathan says, it's... Make, although I did identify as bi at one important moment at school. Male. Cool. But that wasn't really the question. It was, what pronouns do you use? Like, he, him, she, her, he, they, she, they, them, etc. Aaron Dash says, oh yeah, script writing. Probably gonna go visit the work in progress pile after this. Oh yes, the work in progress pile. Oh, what a nightmare that is. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Barret's level 27! And we're rolling in the dough with 40,591 gil. Save point. Access the menu and select Save to save your game. Fizz says, oh, I'm deep in the work in progress pile. Jonathan says, you know, I got some amazing stories of all my years in elementary, middle, and high school. Want me to tell you them? Tell whatever stories you are comfortable with sharing. Jonathan says, got it. Just a warning though, they get weirder as I go along. Now I'm just thinking about a story in which a character encounters an eldritch abomination in the woods. Something like that. Like, encountering the weirdness of Silent Hill on your day-to-day experience. Can you imagine? It's a normal day, like any other, and you wander into Silent Hill. Oh no. Arantash says, best of luck with those work in progresses, soldier. Dear little soldier. I'm probably going to upload the first episode of Yandere General tomorrow. I've kind of been, like, I've been working on it for a while. I kind of just want to share it, you know? It has been exclusive for a long, long time. Back attack. It's an ambush. Cloud's hit his limit. Or her limit? Definitely have heard the angle of Cloud being a trans woman. Like, that sort of angle to the storyline. Probably false. Even though I want it to be otherwise. Like, representation, please.
Representation, sir? Can I have some representation?
Emma says, I mean, as far as I know, they don't explicitly say Cloud isn't trans. Aaron Thash says, I mean, that is the wonder of subtext that you choose to read too much into. I say that like that wouldn't be the best thing. Winter says, all characters are trans unless specified otherwise. Congratulations! Now we have 99.98% trans canon. Welcome home. Hello, welcome home.
To a cutie. So adorable. Just climbing the pipes.
Oh, leveling up to level 99 in this reactor building. We're not leaving. Yes, we are the infestation. We are the infestation that is bothering Shinra. Jonathan says, did you see these? And yeah, I agree. See what, exactly? Am I missing something? Thanks, Emma.
She's right.
Jonathan says, seriously, what is going on? The stuff I'm typing isn't going through. Sometimes YouTube is a butt and doesn't let stuff come through. Deserving of all the head pats. Thank you so very much. It's very kind of you. Soup. I have soup.
Good. 3-day weekend, yay. Hi, Emma.
We aren't even 10% of the way through.
You've read less.
We hit 10% when we reach level 45, I believe. Then, the real climb begins. More soup! More soup! Jonathan says, the stories I wrote. Yeah, sometimes they just don't come through because YouTube's a butt. Oh, Barret just put a bunch of holes in them. I wonder how far we can take this today. Jonathan says, well, I got like relationships with love in all 3 phases of school. Screw YouTube. It is a capitalistic regime. We must take down the capitalist pigs. Suddenly Russian again. Sometimes I'll just put on an accent and I really don't know why I'm doing it. Don't you know? Jonathan says, oh my god, finally it went through. Dang it. And of course, there's the British accent that I sometimes do. Oh, how are you doing today? I hope that you are doing quite well. No! Nya, 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 nya. Nya, 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 nya. Jonathan said, I said something about YouTube's AI ads being glued and it didn't let it go through, and that's how you know there's a bunch of hypocrites at that company. Oh yeah. YouTube can be incredibly harmful, and is incredibly harmful in so many cases. And they don't let me get away with crap. One of my more mature symbiote videos can't be publicly shown on YouTube because of age restriction. It's not even that bad. I was really, really proud of it too. One of the reasons why I'm also put off of writing Yandra and symbiotes in general unless I'm making a Patreon-only content. Fizz says script is officially done and posted. Congratulations, Fizz! What kind of script is it, if I may ask? Fizz, sprays mouth. Shh! Witness me! That feral screaming. Hannah says, YouTube ads are effed. Why am I saying that? YouTube ads are fucked. They keep pushing me fucking Turning Point USA ads. Yeah, that sucks. I hope they're not advertising on my fucking stream. Is Turning Point USA advertising on this fucking stream? Jonathan says, screw the age restriction. I was 10 when I saw a bikini ad on a Bible website. Got no bars held, no regrets at all. Has been. Fizz says, spicy. Aaron Tash says, congratulations on the script. Yes, congratulations on the script. I feel mildly unsettled. Is anyone else feeling mildly unsettled right now? Emma says, I mean, there's a lot of evidence from what I hear that they specifically target queer creators to advertise on their videos as a form of harassment. Oh, sorry. It's all good. And honestly, that conspiracy theory rings as, plausible. Jonathan says, sorry, I got ahead of myself, but seriously, I don't get traumatized from that type of stuff. One of the things that I watched when I was like 8 years old was The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Should a kid have been watching that? No. Absolutely not. Did it scar me slightly? I will be honest and say, yeah, it did. But it also... It's a form of psychological radiation that caused me to be insanely creative with some new ideas about things. Jonathan says, in fact, I crave for that stuff. Hell yeah. Emma says, but yeah. It's because you can't flag ads as violating terms of service, I think. Aaron Thash says, I would check out. I was in a college writing workshop and the chair of my school's Turning Point USA chapter was being really nice to my work, right till someone pointed out the obvious lesbian subtext. The ads, I mean. Jonathan says, y'all don't know me and my swag to different... What? 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 It's all good, Jonathan. I'm basically just running back and forth on a pipe playing Final Fantasy VII and trying to get my characters to level 99 in a reactor building. Yeah, these two are gonna be so swole by the time they leave. They're gonna be so strong. Strong on this mountain. Fizz says, thanks. Hey, a cigarette is physically shaking. Smoking is one of those things that I'm vaguely uncomfortable about. It's like, I know that it's something that people do, but I just don't do myself. And I don't like the scent of smoke. Jonathan says, that was messed up. Let me stop. This happens every time I get too ahead of myself. There's nothing wrong with enthusiasm. Have you seen Coraline? Coraline, I believe, is a very wonderful movie. It is incredibly creative. I really like what Laika did with it. It is also a horror movie. An incredibly scary one at that, especially when you really get down to, like, the details of it all. And yes, it's a comfort movie for me as well. I enjoy listening to it on my off time. It's been a while. I should listen to it again. Jonathan says, I know, but there's a limit, and that limit is stopping me from living. I try to be trendy or with the team in a sort of way, and it comes off as stupid. Take a second. Take in a deep breath for me. And slowly breathe out, okay? In. And out. Everything's going to be okay. We're humans. There's a natural tendency to panic, and there's a natural tendency to be afraid. We're here for each other. We'll make sure that everyone's okay. Very good. Thanks, Jonathan. Make sure you get yourself to a really, really calm place, alright? There are a lot of nice things in this world, and there are not so nice things. Coraline is interesting in a lot of ways. Aaron Dash says we should have... oh my god, Coraline mentioned, and Fizz says we should have a Coraline watch party. Hannah says, Gods, thinking of Turning Point USA, my first college roommate was a dang Nazi trying to get me over to that side, and dude brought me to a Turning Point USA house party poker night thing, and they did not invite me back. Why? Because I won like $400 off them. Yeah! Get that bag! Jonathan says, okay, thank you, I know. And like this one movie said, I wanna be a part of that world. It's a really good movie. Aaron Tash says, okay, doing that to a Turning Point USA poker sesh is queen shit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's absolute queen behavior. Call them out for their bullshit behavior? Yeah, maybe. But there's that bag to be made. Gosh. Robbing Republicans blind. Robbing Nazis blind. Yeah! That tickles me pink. That tickles me. Makes me feel happy. Hannah says, the only 2 times I've ever played poker against peers was after prom, did not go to the actual prom, and sharked a bunch of pissed drunk kids, and then that night... This was well before I even realized I wasn't straight fully. I was pretty sheltered. Didn't even know gay people existed until high school. Jonathan says, never really watched the movie, but wouldn't be against seeing it. I'd only see it because of two reasons. A, I'm bored. B, my cousin is at my house and she's really nice. We see eye to eye on everything. Honestly, I like different movies. And there were some movies that I previously didn't agree with that I enjoy seeing now. And I sometimes look back on some of my behavior from like 2016 and I cringe. When I was 16, I was just like, ugh. Hard to believe that was like 10 years ago now. So much has changed. Hannah says, funny enough, me realizing I wasn't straight was after this roommate dragged me to a Bible study group he was doing with other campus fascists, and this huge himbo on the subway line hit on me. Okay, but was he an actual himbo, or was he like... What's the word I'm looking for here? Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna put a pin in that. The way that night ended was I did not have any doubts, and I started spending a lot of nights not in my own dorm room. Yes, he was an actual himbo. Excellent. Hannah says, I don't know if he was passing his classes, but like... Was he kind of hard? Because I tend to follow, like, the Kronk model of himbo-ness. Well, you got me there. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. He was jacked, and he was pure of heart. It was indeed very much dumb of ass. Pure of heart, jacked as shit, and dumb of ass. Perfect. Florence says, have you watched Arcane? I have not. Unfortunately, I have not. One of my ex-partners tried to get me into it. We never really got to it. So many back attacks. What's up?
I'm looking at a cute fox. And I got a new shirt. Courtesy of my job.
Nice. Jonathan says, I have a confession to make, and it's embarrassing. It's from this community called Gacha Life channel called Gacha Galore. He supports and talks about many communities, like name one, but on his dev people vid. I embarrassed myself in the comments again. Oh, okay.
I feel like I remember that. Gotcha.
Hmm. Hannah says, I've only watched the first season of Arcane, and I know about season 2 is that, Kaylin fucking sucks, and the person who said I wouldn't be able to handle it is probably right. Tasty. Soup.
Good.
It's soup. It is soup.
It is a cutie. Aww.
You're gonna knock my headphones off. Hannah says, look, I might have the scary goth mask lesbian look going on, but I am a very soft and squishy gal at my core. Pets for Foxa, says Emma. Emma says, give pets.
You should see her when she's eepy.
Huh?
You should see her when she's eepy.
Currently EP right now.
And curled up in her blanket. So cute.
Well, I'm not curled up in a blanket right now.
I know, but you look so cute when you get those big ol' eyes.
I just do the best I can. Jonathan says I called him and these two girls he had with him, I called them... Read through the foreign letters. Okay, why are you telling me this story?
I can't read.
Big sister, you're a teacher. You can't read? Really? Hannah says also my wife has been rambling about the game for the past bit now. Fizz says curling up in a blanket with a hot cup of tea sounds nice right now. And Hannah says I'm lost on the conversation right now. Hate's a bit strong. I come from the position of being trans. There are people who exist right now who just want me dead. They've never met me. They do not know what I like to do. They don't know what I write. And yeah, they do not know I even exist. And yet, they intrinsically want me dead. I don't, lose sleep on that. Sometimes I lose sleep on having embarrassed myself, but I don't lose sleep on people hating me for, no reason. I do the best I do. I try to be respectful, and I try to continue on as I have. And I also know that I will occasionally get things wrong. And I'll have to fess up to it when I do.
Yeah. She's really good at that.
Jonathan says I was just trying to bond and I frick it up every time, and I'm very sorry to hear that people hate you. I hope you find people who support and love you like me. I'm your bestie, your friend. Boop. Booping the Akira Fox.
Huh?
Hannah says, yeah, I kind of had an introduction to living and going about existing with people wanting me dead just because of part of me when I got into motorcycles. A lot of boomers will road rage and try to run you down just for existing on the road. Yeah, it's one of those things. Fizz says, people suck sometimes. Yeah. Like Matt Walsh, whose comments directly led to bomb threats being called in on a children's hospital. It says, and hug and pet and the hug. Thanks, Emma, dear. Hannah says, yeah, this ain't my first rodeo with this crap, it's my second. Is there something I can help you with, Akira?
No, you're helping just fine with being the leader of that fox, so that you are.
Hey, we've got 92 potions. Love potions. Potions are good. In every single Final Fantasy game that I've ever played thus far, potions have always healed for different amounts. Just says, hey, yo? Akira says, my existence is, F you to the powers that be, and I live proud of that fact. Rising every morning with both birdies flipped and a smile. We live according to the rules of spite. Aaron Dash says, sometimes the best thing to do you can do is go out with your pepper spray and live your life regardless. Precisely. Jonathan says, thank you guys for being so understanding. I thought everyone on YouTube hated me. Yeah, I totally get those feelings of insecurity. Sometimes I get uber paranoid and think that everybody hates me.
I don't hate you.
Things Big says. Yeah,
Don't hate
it just takes a little bit to, like, rationale myself down and say, no, not everyone hates you.
Wait, we went for an adventure for cookies last night.
Yes, we went on an adventure for drinks and cookies, and it was great. I finished off the cookies, by the way.
And the Reese's cups?
Hey, no more brands being talked about on the channel. We're not giving the corpos free, like, advertising.
Okay, Twisty cups?
Yeah, close enough. Winter says, unfortunately where I live, a gun is easier to get than pepper spray. I've been looking to purchase a firearm myself. What are you doing? Oh, yeah. Akira just pulled out, one of her armaments.
I got a pew pew. Of course, I need to get.
What?
Of course, I need to get your pew pew pellets.
Hmm.
Those are old.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get my pew pew pellets.
For legal reasons, we will classify this armament as an airsoft until further notice.
Or a Nerf? I like Nerfs. Or wait, no.
Oh yeah, I've got a Nerf gun under the bed. Jonathan says, I joined a hot video. I try to, like, be in Valentino mode. But it gets fricked. I join a nice video and my nice comments come off as glazing. I join a support video and people say, you don't get it. Like, give me a break, man. Emma says, buy Foxo brand cookies. Hannah says, yeah, I definitely need to get one. Although I don't think I'll be able to get one before the private military unit that obeys no laws shows up here. It might be around next payday, actually. When I'm considering getting one of my own.
Oh, careful, because we still gotta pay the other debt.
I know, I've not forgotten.
Teeth are expensive.
Yes, teeth are expensive. We owe more than $1,000 in debt because of my teeth.
Well, we don't. Well, I mean, we don't want you to be in pain.
Yeah.
want to talk because I still need to get something to work done too.
Emma says, I don't know, I'm being dork. A cute dork. A cutie. Jonathan says, feels like every time I join the party, it's a big screw you message to me. Just want live. Emma says, my teeth are not covered by insurance.
They are just not all the way.
Oh, nice dodge, Cloud.
I'm gonna move this to where I can remember.
Okay.
To get this to Starry's daddy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a clean knife.
Luxury bones. I don't like the fact that teeth are considered the luxury bones. Like, come on. Fizz says you need teeth to eat, like eating isn't a luxury. Yeah, it's like it's a prerequisite to my continued existence. I would much rather continue to exist, please. John says, thank you, it's just I don't want to be given a like or heart to get reassured that people like me or not hate me. I would caution you, John. You probably shouldn't hook your images of self-worth to the internet, because the internet is incredibly fickle. And I myself am a virtual fox on the internet. Emma says, heart for you, but also, yes, listen to... Thank you so very much, Emma. I'm just going to put these really quickly into the earbud holder. Volume that down real quick. There we go. Skip that ad. Rewrite that cutscene. Why is it now playing through that instead of my live stream? Like, I want to be able to read your comments, please. Thank you. But yes, Emma, listen to Mistress. Emma says, I can say the list if you want, sorry. Oh no, it's quite alright, Emma. John says, yeah, you're probably right. It's just like I want to get somewhere in life where I move away from my boring home in Maryland and live on my own, but my mom doesn't trust me with my plan to move to New York City. Fizz says, I'm getting a snack. Yes, snack get. Snack get. If you will take some unsolicited advice, which you are free to ignore, it is, after all, unsolicited advice, learn as much as you can about the world around you. Learn as much as you can get your hands on. It will be your greatest weapon. Fox's honor. And also consider, while learning, that you will never learn everything. You will never learn everything there is to know about a subject. And I caution you to avoid thinking like you do know everything about a subject. Too many times have I fallen into that trap and have severely overestimated my capabilities in a situation. One of the reasons why I have, you know, a tough time training is I am very, very, like, out of shape, and I need to do some cardio. Emma says, to be fair, New York City is hella expensive to live in on your own, but yeah, learn. Knowledge is power. I mean, mostly money is power, but knowledge is also power. Jonathan says, like, I get that. New York is swarmed with protesters, activists, and gangs, and thank you for that advice. I will take this into consideration in thinking. I also recommend looking into channels like Theremin Trees. Theremin Trees, I think, is a good resource. Just make sure that you take everything that you encounter with a grain of salt, because nothing will have a complete picture. Emma says, money being power is unfortunate, though. Basically, continually, I will be saying, screw capitalism. Capitalism sucks. Especially late-stage capitalism, where we're at. Oh, we're nearly at level 28. Emma says, but yeah, the gangs bit makes me wonder if your mom thinks that about cities in general, because, like, cities are generally pretty safe, but country folk tend to think of them as, like, crime town or something. Fizz has snack acquired. Welcome back, Fizz. Congratulations on acquiring your snack. Jonathan says, yeah, sounds good, and I'm planning to go to college and university right after. I plan to work a successful office job and a YouTuber slash VTuber as a hobby. Though I am kind of... And Emma says, so I hear anyhow. One thing I will caution you on, being a YouTuber slash VTuber myself, you know, YouTuber slash VTuber, don't expect fame right away. I got really, really lucky to be where I'm at right now. It takes a lot of tenacity. It takes a lot of stubbornness and a lot of working through burnout. It will definitely suck a lot of the time. You just gotta be willing to put up that struggle. Put up your dukes or disengage entirely. That is level 28. Jonathan says she mostly doesn't trust me because she never visited the city alone. Like, I love my mom, but I just want her to have faith in me. Antash says, speaking as someone who's lived in a pretty rural place and a pretty urban place, and honest to God, I am more scared in the country. The Confederate flags aren't quite as diluted out in the country. Jonathan says, don't worry, I won't. I'll work hard and I'll take criticism as compliments. Yes, you will also get your haters as well. Don't forget that as well. Especially if your comments section isn't as regulated. It will happen. You will get hate comments, and it is going to suck. Emma says, yeah. I've lived in places where every other house on the row has a tree growth out of the roof and plywood on the windows, and I honestly felt safer there than in rural North Carolina. Emma says, referring to the poor parts of Baltimore. Now I'm just remembering, Big Bill Hell's Cars. Fuck you, Baltimore! Yeah, that, like, parody commercial, I think. I think it's a parody commercial, because if it's, like, real, if it's, like, a real commercial, I think that I would lose it. Emma says, lived there a while and, like, most honest folk I ever met. Emma says, we're in that part of Baltimore. Fizz says, home of challenge, pissing him out. Smack. Emma says, scariest folk were in North Carolina. Never know what those people are thinking. They're always putting on a smile whether they're happy or plotting to stab you. It's from the parody car commercial, lol. John says, yeah, I have my lines to who can be in my comments. Emma says, sorry, that turned into a rant. It's quite alright. Sometimes I rant. You've listened to me rant about a lot of the injustices that are happening in our country right now. There's a perk in Fallout New Vegas called Terrifying Presence. And what I think of is I can just imagine tilting my head and grinning. I will cast down your codex. I think the entire quote is, I will cast down your codex and bask in the dying agony of those who hold it most dear. Terrifying presence is just one fun perk. Jonathan says, "Want to know what my tastes in subject are to start a new subject?" Yeah, sure. And Tash says, "Terrifying presence is life goals, really." One of the most terrifying responses I've definitely heard was, "No need. I will carve a key from your bones." Emma says, I don't know what that means, but... Aw, Emma. You're so very cute. Jonathan says, "Okay, let me start. Male, female, bi, gay, femboy, furry, shallow guy or gal, buff guys and curvy girls, and reverse, tomboys, softies, hardcore people, chill people, dramatic, playing someone, people, etc." Huh. Cutiefox Kiera says, "May your cookies always be stale and your soda be flat." What a horrible curse. Here's another one for you. May all your bacon burn. John says, "Those are my types as well as every country in the world." Okay. Emma says, "No, not the bacon." "Oh, don't worry. I've not cursed your bacon, dear." Akira, stop cursing. It's such a strange thing to say out of context, is stop cursing. What, you mean like swear words? No, I mean cursing! Like, cursing chat! John says, "How do you think? Like, how I don't reject anyone?" Well, personally, I just kind of think that that's, like, the default position. Hatred is taught. It isn't the default. And whoever you love is part of who you are. Fizz says, "My poor cookware." Akira says, "You spoony bard!" John says, "Well, I don't hate anyone, as long as you don't mention anything too gross or unnecessary. Be good like that." Well, what do you qualify as too gross? Oh hey, we've hit like 99/98 potions. Nice. Now we've got a surplus. Undercooked scallops. Not undercooked scallops, no thank you. Hannah says I'd rather undercooked than overcooked scallops. Thinking about burgers. Hannah says, at least undercooked isn't the consistency of a hockey puck. Fizz says, not the seafood, please. John says, like, talking about needing the bathroom, or how about, like... Well, I mean, sometimes I think we do need to talk about that sort of stuff, John. Just for, like, medical reasons or some... I mean, we can't always keep things quiet, and sometimes you need to talk about them in order for, like... It's like treating wounds. Wounds fester in the dark. The human body is weird and wonderful in the ways that it handles stuff. Need to brush up on my knowledge. I don't know how the digestive system works. Need to be brushing up on that. Antash says, I respect being open to anything in your diet, but the texture of quinoa makes me explode. Quinoa. It's been a while since I've had quinoa. I used to know how to cook quinoa. I used to know how to cook oatmeal, too. Like, taking the actual oats and making it into oatmeal. Not like instant oatmeal. My only request is, don't be weird to people who are going through pain. Do your best to help out. Emma says, quinoa, tasty. Aaron Tash at Emma. Ah! I think he just made Aaron Tash explode. John says, if you're wondering, the video I wrote that comment in was Animation's video about periods, and I wrote a comment that said I'm scared of this. Like I wanted to scream into a wall after thinking that. Well... Huh. That's just... Barret is almost at level 28 too. Most excellent. Antash says that I'm gotta commend you on that efficient handling of the mess. I wonder how hard Barret'll hit after I level him up. If I'm lucky, it'll be one more battle. If I'm unlucky, it'll be 2. We are unlucky. It is 2. Of course, John. Though I don't understand why. And... there we go. Both of them are level 28. Nearly 1,500 health Barret has. Most excellent. I think that shall be that, for the time being. Excellent. Let me just shift myself back over here. There we go. Excellent. John says, sorry for being so weirded out about periods. There's just so bloody and I've never seen someone so open about it and it freaks me out and makes me uncomfortable when people talk about that. Like, why? Well, on the one hand, being weirded out is normal. At least I think it is. I think it is incredibly normal to be weirded out and even sometimes afraid. But I think that we also need to understand that these are normal biological functions. And in a lot of cases, if you don't know about this sort of stuff, and if you don't know how to differentiate normal symptoms from abnormal symptoms, then you can end up in a position where someone is suffering undue suffering, for lack of a better term. Like, suffering undue pain, undue hardship. Oh, excuse me. So that's just something to keep in mind. Anyways, I think that will be all from me tonight. I'm glad for the amount of progress that we've made thus far. Oh, hey Eve! Glad that you've managed to catch in at the very tail end of things. Eve says up about end of stream. So very cute. Anyways, please make sure you drink some water. And to get some really good food. I'd hate to have to enforce that. Okay? And stay safe out there. Surviving is winning. I'll catch you next week at Wednesday at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I'm speaking a bit long. Anyways, good night, y'all.